Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today, it is time for my coverage of Dr. Stone Season 2. Just like with Beastars Season 2, I covered the first season of this show last year. And now here we are to cover the second one. So, we know from the end of Season 1 that it's Senku versus Tsukasa in the battle of strength versus science. We all know that. And Senku knows if they don't come up with a plan to take down Tsukasa quickly enough, then they will all get very much overpowered and die. And Tsukasa will take over. So, from the makeshift phones that they've managed to build, Senku is able to get his message across to Taiju and Yuzuriya in order for them to be able to also help in his plan. You see, there's a guard also with Taiju and Yuzuriya that works for Tsukasa named Nikki. So how do you think they managed to keep doing this without her noticing what they're doing? Well, they've had Senku fake his own death and pretend that his grave is right in front of them. So when they kneel down when it looks like they're paying respects to him, what they're actually doing is using the makeshift phone that they've been able to make. Unfortunately, Nikki event doesn't take that long to figure out what they're doing. And that means the plan has gone south. So what do they do now? Well, if you remember in Season 1, Gen, for some reason, is able to do a perfect impression of Lillian Weierberg, the American singer who went to space with Senku's dad. Yeah, he pulls that trick out of his sleeve again by imitating Lillian Weierberg, and it kind of works, although she knows it's Gen. But it kind of still works. And they managed to get her on side. Next, they plan on building a pretty big tank to go in there and take on Tsukasa. Because they know by just their own strength, there's no way they're winning the fight. So they have to come up with something. So building a big tank would work. Unfortunately, Chrome gets himself kidnapped when him, Magma, and Yen are scouting out the area. They get spotted by this archer named Ukyo, who has incredible hearing. So Gen and Magma manage to escape, but Chrome isn't as lucky, and he gets thrown in a prison cage by Tsukasa. So while the construction on the tank is going on, Chrome has to figure a way of getting the hell out of the prison. Luckily for him, Suika manages to sneak her way around Tsukasa's base because she goes into that form where she's basically a rolling ball and no one can see her. Then she returns to Senku to tell him what's going on. And that there's been a few traps set by Tsukasa's men, but no one knows that yet. But Chrome didn't even need Senku to help him, because Chrome was actually able to make odium hydrochlorite, in simple terms, bleach. And he was able to melt off the gate of the prison to get himself out of there. And now that the construction of the tank has been made, Senku and everyone else are on their way down to take on Tsukasa. Of course, if this doesn't work, then they're really screwed. But Senku had thought ahead of that and made shields. What did he make the shields out of? Paper. You'd think, how does that work? But it did, because for some reason, paper was actually really durable here. If you want to deafen your enemies, that's what we have Taiju for, as he screams down a megaphone at them, which makes all of them deafen slightly for a quick minute. Before they end up kind of in a stalemate. And as all of this was happening, there was we had a scene where Homura, the gymnast who was very athletic when it came to swinging from trees, she'd been captured, escaped, and then captured again. So that's how Senku's team were able to get rid of one of their biggest threats. So then we have Senku and Tsukasa in a stalemate. So what are they going to do? Well, they actually decide to form a truce. Because the whole thing that Tsukasa was actually trying to do was save his sister, Mirai, who we'd only just found out about, as she was in critical condition back before the world froze for 3.7k years, and he's been trying to find a way to save her. Back before the world went to hell, he was actually an extremely powerful fighter. Him and Gen actually had met already before the world froze, because Tsukasa happened to be on a game show one day that Gen was hosting. Then they do form that truce, as of course the nitric purification liquid that, of course, allows anyone who's been turned to stone to be able to break out of the stone. They managed to form the truce. Senku then gives the purification liquid to Mirai, and it wakes her up, and she's okay. Then comes the big plot twist. Because even though they formed a truce, Hyoga turns on all of them. That's right, Hyoga turns on Tsukasa. And now there's a big brawl that's broken out between Tsukasa and Hyoga. The two of them taking each other on with hand-to-hand combat. And Senku's only just there to get his ass beat. He's not really there for anything else. But he manages to ignite some flames that gives Hyuga a little burn that was probably quite painful. And this goes very well in Tsukasa's favour. Apart from the fact that he got stabbed with Hyuga's spear. And it is very likely that Tsukasa was going to die. So, what do they do to make sure he doesn't? Well, they try something that has never been done before in the show up to this point. You know how the whole point of the show is to use the purification liquid to break people out of being turned to stone? Well, in this case, it's the complete opposite and reverse. What our characters do to stop Tsukasa from dying is they turn him back into stone. That's right, Tsukasa is turned back to stone to save him, as the rest of the gang set out for the next step of their journey, which entails pirate ships, as the little teaser for Season 3 showed us right at the end of Season 2. So yeah, Dr. Stone is not finished yet. We have at least one more season of it to go, which will likely be releasing next year. So what did I think of Season 2? Well, the running gag of Mecha Senku was back. The ways that Senku had to go about doing things was very, very creative. Especially using paper for shields. The plot twist at the end of Hyuga turning on everyone wasn't really one I saw coming. Nor did I see turning Tsukasa back to stone being the option that they would have taken. I never even thought of that the entire time watching both seasons. I never actually thought of Tsukasa doing that. But yes, that is my coverage for Dr. Stone Season 2. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, catch you later.